G'day folks, Russ Comet here. Welcome back to another video. So for anyone who's followed me on YouTube for a while or who followed me when I was back on Twitch, you'll know that I've been a long-time user and absolute lover and supporter of these Feel racing gloves. I've been using them for about 2 years now in every race, probably a few hundred hours on the sim at this point, and they've been fantastic. They've never let me down. I wear them every time I can, during long endurance races and everything. However, because of that, it does mean that they are starting to wear out. You can see here, it's pretty much worn through to the glove there. There's a little bit of my skin poking through. This things are starting to come off on this side as well. All the fingers are starting to wear out. So it has come time to replace them. And I thought long and hard about which gloves I wanted to replace them with, whether or not I wanted to get another pair of Feel gloves or try something new. You can probably guess from the name of this video what I chose. But because I'm bad at transitions, we're going to do a big reveal anyway. So here is what I went with. Ta-da! All right, these are the Sim Hound sim racing gloves. So I've been using these for about a week now, probably about 10 to 15 hours of racing. And I'm going to go through the things I really like about them, whether or not I think I would replace my Feel gloves, which are now sitting on the floor beside me, with them, as well as just whether or not there's anything I don't like about them or think that Sim Hound could improve upon. But before we do get into it, if at any point you are enjoying this video, feel free to give that like button a tap. And if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe as well. I know this is the thing YouTubers have to say, but it does really help the channel out. I actually have a couple of announcements coming out this week to do with esports and sim racing, which I'm pretty excited about. And I'm hoping to post a review of the Sim Hound shoes as well. So if that's something you think would interest you, feel free to subscribe. Otherwise, let's get into it and talk about these gloves. Do I like these gloves? I mean, simple question, simple answer. Yes, I really like these gloves. So, as I said, I've been using them for about a week now, and I'm really enjoying using them. They feel different than my Feel gloves did. So if you're also coming from Feel gloves and looking to get some Sim Hound gloves, don't expect them to feel the same. They are a different feeling glove. But I would say they feel a bit more refined than the Feel gloves. So for one thing, the shape of the fingers on them is a lot narrower. The Feel gloves were a little bit thicker, which had its own benefits, but these ones being that little bit thinner and tighter coupled to your fingers, as well as that lightweight mesh on the back, means as you see as I open and close my hands, they're really kind of molded to your hands. It just makes things that little bit easier when trying to adjust things on your steering wheel or type on the keyboard, or even grab a drink when going down the straight. Like those little tasks that you do while sim racing, while wearing gloves that get that little bit harder, just feel that little bit easier in these gloves as opposed to other gloves I've worn. So big tick from that point of view. This material on the back here is a lightweight mesh. As I was saying, yeah, it sticks to your hand really nicely. It's super breathable. I've done a couple of longer races, like 1 or 2 hours here. It's currently, autumn in Australia. It's still getting pretty hot outside. But my hands haven't gotten sweaty or clammy at all while using these gloves. I found that really quite impressive. So huge tick for that. And on the inside as well, you've got this suede material, which, I've only been using them for a week, but feels super durable. There's no signs of wear on them after 15 hours. They feel like they're going to last a long time. And they feel like that really good compromise between the additional padding and comfort you get from wearing gloves, as well as that extra protection for your wheel, without taking away from that fidelity of your force feedback. So with a lot of other gloves, especially like karting and racing gloves, that extra padding takes away from the force feedback, and especially in those lower force feedback rated wheels, such as your Logitechs and things like that, you can kind of lose out on that by getting gloves. Whereas these ones feel like that nice compromise. You've got your padding, you've got the grip, you've got the comfort, but you can still feel everything your wheel is doing. And I think that's really impressive, like really great. It's also, yeah, even though it's durable, as I said, it's not like sweaty gloves. So my palms aren't even getting sweaty or anything like that. I really appreciate the effort they've gone to with these gloves. And they feel absolutely great to race in. You've also got little things like a little capacitive button, like things on the index fingers. So if you are using a tablet for a button box, or you just need to use your phone during a race, that's something you can do without having to take your gloves off. It's just a nice little touch. And another little thing which I probably wouldn't have realized, but they've mentioned in their things, is this little strap here, like the little Velcro strap, is actually offset. So rather than being up against your wrist when you're moving it back and forth, it's off to the side. Small little detail I probably wouldn't have noticed, but you know, it's these things that they're thinking about, which is just them going to that next level, which I find really cool. So, is there anything I don't like about these gloves? Not really, no. I'm really enjoying racing with them. I'm enjoying the way they feel. I enjoy pretty much everything about them. There's a couple of quirks on my gloves that I did want to point out. They could be specific to my gloves or the batch of gloves that mine were a part of. I don't have anything to compare them to, so I don't really know. And I'm really only pointing them out just to give you as much information as possible before you buy a pair of these, not because I actually think they are inherent flaws in these gloves or anything like that. So first of all, my gloves have a little misprint issue. On the left glove here, if I zoom in, the camera barely picks it up. I can notice it a bit more, but you can see there's just some black dots, especially around that thumb area and above the dog's head. It looks to be that when they're printing the logo, there's just some extra ink has kind of splattered onto the white of the glove itself. It doesn't affect how you use the gloves or how the gloves drive or anything like that. It doesn't even affect the quality of the gloves. It's just a little bit of extra ink. But when you are buying gloves, you know, you want the best of the best, and just seeing those little errors there is something you'd like to see Sim Hound improve. So, you know, that's really the only reason I'm pointing it out. It's something I'd like to see Sim Hound pick up on, and hopefully it's not happening anymore. The only other thing is on my right glove in particular, although it is on both gloves, is around this knuckle area here. If I zoom in, you can see there's just a little hole here in this seam. So that hole was there when I unboxed the gloves, and it hasn't gotten any bigger while sim racing. So as I said, I've been using these gloves for like 10 to 15 hours now, and the hole is not getting bigger. It looks like just when they stitch the gloves up, just on that little seam there, and there is a small one on this side as well, that, you know, the stitching just didn't quite line up or something like that. And so there's just this tiny little hole in that knuckle area. Now, as I said, I'll keep an eye on it, but it doesn't actually seem to be getting worse, and I don't think it's going to affect the longevity of these gloves. But it's something I'd like to see Sim Hound, you know, fix and make sure is not there going forward, because you do want, you know, you want to feel sure of the stitching in your gloves, right? You want these gloves for years until they wear out like my field gloves, not because some stitching was missed. So they're the only two real things I've noticed about these gloves, which I, you know, as I said, not deal breakers, just tiny little quirks they have. Another thing I will say is sizing wise, if you like a looser style glove, consider sizing up. So these are XL gloves. My field gloves were XL gloves. These are quite tightly fitted to my hands, which is nice. They do feel nice and tight, but over those longer races, and especially when I'm doing, you know, in the future doing like 6-hour races or 24-hour races, sometimes I like a looser glove in those stages just for that extra comfort. You won't get the fidelity you get at this tighter one, but you do have that like slightly extra comfort from the looser glove. So I measured my hands using their size guide, and it came out at about 22 centimeters, and they said the XLs, which these are for 21 to 23, whereas the 2XLs were 22 to 24. So I was kind of in the middle. I could have gone either way. I went with the XL gloves because that's what my feels were, and because I was smack bang in the middle of the range. And as I said, they feel good, but they are like, they're tight. And tight can be a good thing, or tight can be a bad thing, depending on your comfort level of things. As I said, it gives you that extra fidelity, but there are moments when I have noticed that they feel tight. So if you're someone who likes a loose glove, just consider sizing up if you're right on the edge of that sizing guide. But otherwise, their sizing seems pretty true to what they're saying. But yeah, besides that, I think these are fantastic gloves. Would I buy them again rather than replacing my field gloves? I think I would. I think the value for money on these has been fantastic. Their international shipping was great. So if you're not aware, I'm from Australia. A lot of the time, it costs a lot to get things shipped to Australia. Sim Hound, it was like $16 shipping, which is incredible for things coming from overseas for us. So their international shipping was great. It came really quickly. The quality feels good. They feel like they're going to last a long time. And when they wear out, I think at this stage, I am probably going to buy another pair of Sim Hound gloves. I might go for those cool rainbow ones rather than the black ones because they just seem more exciting. But I think these are fantastic gloves that are going to last me a long time, and I look forward to doing many, many hours of racing in them. So yeah, that's it. The Sim Hound sim racing gloves. Let me know what you thought of this video down below. If you've got a pair of the gloves, let me know if you've got similar little quirks on yours as well. If you did like the video, feel free to give it a like. And I hope to see you back here next time for another video. Until then, peace out, take care, drive safe.